Okay, we are going to try again to do a video for the Playing with Yarn Beanie. I have a Facebook page called Playing with Yarn, and it got its name from the beanie. Whoops. I don't want to do it quite so tight. There. Okay. And the way I started out with this idea for this particular stitch, that if I had to give it a name, I would call it a linked, stacked, single crochet. Okay? It's 2 single crochets on top of each other, and they are linked together. First, I want to show you. You can get videos online that are better than this one. Okay, here's my basic chain. I don't like that big old knot at the beginning, so I always do it loose and then just tighten it like that. There. Okay. You have your basic chain, and then you chain for however many you need. For I'm demonstrating right now a linked double crochet. That's what it is. Okay, linked double crochet. You chain an extra 2 without yarning over, even though you're doing a double crochet. You go into the second chain from the hook, skip that one, go into the next one, pull up a loop, go into the very next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, now for the linked double crochet, you go into this horizontal bar here, pull up a loop. You have it yarned over first, then you go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. I'll do it again a couple more times. Go into the next stitch, and you can see what that looks like. And you can see that they're all linked together. Okay, do one more. And you do not yarn over first before you start the stitch. Okay. Now someone on a Facebook group asked if you can do 2 single crochets, 2 rows of single crochets at the same time. There are multiple videos on YouTube on how to do 2 rows of double crochets at the same time. But I started playing with yarn, and this is what I came up with after watching those videos and so forth. Okay, you would start out with no yarn over, but instead of going into this horizontal bar here, you go into what I call the left leg of this previous stitch. Right there. You yarn over and pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. Okay, I'm going to do another one. Go into the left leg of the stitch, if you're right-handed, into the next stitch and pull up another loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you can see that these are looking a bit different than these. Very pronounced horizontal bar, but these look more like single crochets, one on top of the other. Okay, do another couple here. Go into the leg, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. Go into the leg, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay? Alright, so that's the introduction on how to do that stitch. And when you're starting, you do it the same way as this other one. If you're starting it fresh, I wanted to show how different, how they look different. Okay, you do your extra 2, and without yarning over, go into one stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you go on from there. Okay? Okay. All right. So, this is still part of the introduction. This is to show, after I figured out how to do it in straight row. Oh, I didn't show how to, well, straight rows you just turn and do the same thing. Chain 2, and you just do the row the same way. Okay. If you wanted to do that stitch in the round, I always start with a didn't start that very well. Start with the magic circle. There. Bring it up. There. And then I kind of hold it together there. Okay, you chain 2. Go into the first one. Pull up a loop. Go into the circle, whatever circle you made. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And I, as a rule, do not count, if I'm doing it in rounds, I do not count, in the pattern I use this, and I do not count that chain. You just go all the way around, and just like that. Okay. And I'll show you joining. Okay. Pull it. This does not count. So you bring it up. It's not really enough for a circle, but you don't go into that because that's the top of the chain. You go in there. So that's how to use it in the round. End of the introduction. So we will pause. Okay, this is part, whoops. Okay. All right. Had to make sure I could still see it. The camera moved for some reason. I do not have the most professional setup. And my videos are just this very amateur. For one, I have this camera that just, for absolutely no reason, does its own thing and pauses And when I do a pause, it's actually a stop. So anytime the camera does its own pause or I pause it, it's a stop, and it's a whole separate video. And I've recently downloaded an app that I'm hoping will make them the same. All one video. Okay. This is part 1 of Playing with Yarn Beanie. I have done my magic circle, and I am chaining 2. Okay. And this is the special stitch that I use for this. If it had to have a descriptive name, I would call it a linked, stacked single crochet. If you watched the introduction, you saw how to do it. I start out by chaining 2, which does not count in this round or any round in the beanie. Start out by chaining 2, go into the side of the stitch, pull up a loop. You don't go into this horizontal bar. If you go in there, then you're making a linked double crochet. You can look up videos on YouTube. Okay, without yarning over, you go into the side of the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Side of the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm in the process of revising the written pattern, and I explain in the pattern that it's kind of hard. The original pattern is written with what I call normal increases, where you increase on row 2, you increase on every stitch around, and then on row 3 you do 1 in the first stitch, 2 in the next, 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around, and then you do 2 stitches and then an increase in the next round, and so forth. Well, this particular stitch, I will show you, is hard to tell if you get distracted, you're older, or you have kids and they distract you, or the husband says, oh, look at that on TV, whatever, and you have to go back and figure out where you did the increase and so forth. So I've come up with a different way of doing it, so that you just, if you do an increase round, you increase in every single stitch. Okay, so okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, I might later on, this is acrylic yarn, which is very, very soft stuff. I don't remember what it is. I think it's I Love This Yarn or some other soft stuff. And I will eventually use this hat for a winter hat. So I've gone down to a 4.5 millimeter hook, and I want to make this hat 72. Okay? And to go with my process of making it come out to 72 by being able to double, every increase round, there'll be some rounds where all you do is just do 1 stitch in each round. 9, you do your first increase round, and you've got 18. You do the next increase round, and you have 36. You do the last increase round, and you have 72. Now, you can do as many non-increase rounds in the center, in between those, as you need to keep the hat from getting all floppy and, getting all warped and so forth. So you have at least 1, if not 2, non-increase rounds, depending on how big across you want it. But really what sets the size of your hat is going to be your hook size and the number of stitches. And as you get experienced in making hats, you'll start to realize how many you need for a normal sized hat. If you're going to make one bigger, then you would want to go bigger. And the key for this particular hat, the Playing With Yarn Beanie, because of the pattern that's on the sides, has to be a multiple of 6. 72 is a multiple of 6. So I'm going with 9. I'm going to pull it. And go from there. Okay? Go into there, and then we count. I count every round because I make mistakes. Okay. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That one's kind of covered up. Okay. Now to do your next round, and this is key on every increase round, this is the way I do it. Rather than put in both increases, or both of the stitches on this side so that this bar isn't covered up, I only put one stitch, whoops, only put one stitch at the beginning. And then I do the second stitch when I get back around here, and it kind of covers up that bar and makes it look neater. Okay, now for all of the other stitches until you get around, you're going to do 2. I'll show you another hat. It's a summer hat, and for my summer hats I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook with a 5.5 millimeter hook with the worsted weight yarn, and 60 is what makes a normal size hat with my tension and the 5.5 millimeter hook. And 60 is divisible by 6. And I devised a way that I'll tell you later when I demonstrate on that hat. But I started out with 10 on that one for the center. However, I was playing with yarn again today. I need to do a second one here. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you here. Okay. When there are 2 in one stitch down here at the base, you'll look and you'll see these 2 little things, 2 little bumps right close together in the middle. That means there's 2 stitches in that. I'll show you what it looks like if I skip this one because I'm not paying attention and go on without doing 2 and show you what it looks like with only 1. See, because it gets kind of pulled apart, and with only 1 you can see the difference, but it's hard to see. And if you, I don't even like trying, even though I know what to look for, I prefer not to even have to do it. So, okay, there's 4.5. Yep. So we will do that one. But I came up with another method of getting to the number of stitches that I need. And I'm going to experiment with that. This one's already done, but the crown, I'm not going to undo it. But in the next one that I try, that I want 60 with it, I'm going to try doing 15 in the first round. Because if you do 15 and then you do double that, it'll be 30, and then you do a non-increase round, or maybe 2 non-increase rounds, and you'll have 60. Simple math. Okay, we need one more here. Oh no, we don't. Okay, go back so I can show you. Okay. See, that is that. There's our chain right here. And this is that bar I was talking about that we want to cover up. So, we go in here and go there. And then we count. Okay, so we started with 8, and this should be 16. 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14. Whoops. No, we started with 9. Yes, 9, because I want 72, right? Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. This one is covering that one. So yeah, we are good. Okay. Now, because this is already trying to do what I call cupping, we don't want that this early on in the hat. So we are going to do, now if your tension is different and you're not having that problem and it makes it too wavy, you can do a non-increase round, but it will further cup if you do that. But what I do is I do another increase round, okay? And this is, yeah, this is that, covering that one. So we go in here and we increase in every stitch around. Okay, and we're not going to sit here for that. I'm going to pause it and have to splice it together if my thing works. All right. Went all the way around, and I did an increase in every stitch around. Because I started with 9, I have 18. Now I have 36. Now, for the next round, it would be totally up to you whether or not you want to do a non-increase round or go ahead and do an increase in every stitch. I usually do at least one non-increase round, usually on the 4th. Okay. And to continue with the math problem, this one, I started, okay, this one is a summer hat being done with a 5.5 millimeter hook. You can see it's a lot lighter and airier, but I wanted it just a little bit bigger than the 60 stitches around. I wanted the next multiple of 6, which would be 66. So this is what I came up with. I started out, okay, I started out with 8. Next round would be 16. Next round would be 32. And then your next increase round would be 64. But you want 66 stitches. Okay? So, this is my non-increase round, which is what I'll be doing on this one next. And over here, you see I've done a marker. And if you can look at this and see what I showed you, here are single stitches. And you can see here I did 1 increase. Okay? That means at this point I would have with 1 increase, instead of ending up in the final round, I would be increasing 33 stitches. Okay? Because I have 32 right now. I would be increasing 33 stitches, and what is 33 doubled? 66. So, I'll show you on this one. Yeah. I'm going to show you the ending of this non-increase round. It'll save time not having to do an extra video. Okay. You see here is the chain. Okay. The chain 2. I went into the side of it, but instead of going into this same stitch that the chain 2 is coming out of, I skip over and go into the next stitch for non-increase rounds. That's the way you do it. And then when you get to the end, you work in the other side of that stitch to the right of the chain 2. And it covers, the reason I do that is it covers up this bar there that ends up looking messy if you don't do this. So you just do it the same way. And okay. Now if I go around and count, there will be 33, because I have a marker here. That means I increased. If I had to increase 2 or something, I would put 2 markers. Okay. That means when I do the next round, which is an increase round, I will have 66. Okay? So. Alright. And now I will show you how to, let's see, we need 4.5. Okay. I will show you starting the non-increase round. I showed you how to end it with the other. Okay, you do your chain 2. Whoops. Normally we would go right in here, right next to it, right there. Okay? Instead, we skip it and we go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and over, pull through. So, and then you just go all the way around, just doing one in each stitch. It makes it much, much easier. Okay. And then with both of these, your last round would be an increase in each stitch around, 2 in each. So now, before I came up with that brilliant bit of math, I'll show you what I did with this hat. Okay, this one started out with 10. So round 2 made 20. Round 3 made 40. I did a non-increase round, and so this round 4 is non-increase, so it has 40 also. And then what I did, because I was at 40 and I wanted 60, I can pretty easily keep up with doing every other one. And so I did, we won't do a starting, but here you have increase, non-increase. So you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's pretty easy to keep up with, not like having to count 5 or 6 when you get up to the bigger things. And if I had wanted, what happens if you do another increase round, I mean, you can see here with the size of this hat and keeping it, it comes out on the edges. See how it's a little bit wider. These sides actually become a little bit of the top, which I like with this hat pattern. If you lay it down, see, because of the double crochets and so forth, this hat I think looks better with a little bit smaller crown. If you want a larger crown, you can do this increase, and then you can do another row of increases, or alternately, if you just wanted a little bit bigger across, you could do a row of single crochet in the back loop only around. It would fit with the way the rest of the hat looks and would look fine, and that would give you just a little bit more around to make it just a tiny bit wider, and because you're doing it. But this one's 60, and that's the way I did 60 with the math for that one. Okay, pause and we'll come back for. Okay, I decided for the purpose of demonstration that we're going to pretend that we have done our round of increases and then our or a round of no increases, and then our final round of increases, and we've ended up where we wanted to be, which with this hat is going to be 72. But for demonstration, we're going to pretend that it's that big, and we're going to just join for the sides and show you how to work the sides with a lot fewer repetitions, which makes it easier. And in order to do that join, you pull it out, and I'm working with the 4.5 millimeter hook still all the way through the hat. Okay, now to do this join, get your end, and oops, I touched the thing and make sure we can still see. Let's see. Okay. Yep. All right. I've done too many videos where everything was off camera. Okay, so I just make a loop, pull it up through and through. Okay. Oh, I forgot the most important thing. On this last round, especially on your final round, you have to count and make sure that you have the right number of stitches. If you do not do that, you will regret it. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. We are good. 36 is a multiple of 6. Okay. Whoops, we do not want to use the 4.0. We want the 4.5. Okay. So we have our loop. And what we do on this very first one is, okay, we take the yarn we're ending off and we bring it over the top, or actually, no, this works better. Bring it, for this one alone, bring it underneath and then up over the top, okay? Yeah. Get that other yarn over here, and it helps to kind of pinch it there. Don't worry if it's kind of messy right now. We'll pull it into where we want it. Okay? So, what I'm going to show you is what I call a chainless single crochet. And you need that loop around to hold it in order to do this stitch. And it ends up, when you're doing single crochets in the round as the beginning, this ends up looking neater. Okay. You go into the middle of the stitch, down into the stitch, drop your tail. You can weave that in later. Then you come back up and bring it up. Now you grab that tail, tighten it, not too tight, but tighter. And at the same time, you take the working yarn from the other color and just kind of make the stitch look about the same size as the other stitches. Okay, so pull that down. Okay, and then you just yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, and that's your first single crochet of the round. For this pattern, the next one is a half double, 3 double crochets in a row, and a half double, and you've done one stitch pattern. Single crochet, half double, half double, 3 doubles, and then another half double, and then you start over. And all of these stitches, you notice, I did in the back loop only, and there is a reason for that you'll see on the next round. So we're at half double, 3 doubles, and our half double. Same. Okay, single, half double, oops, one too many half doubles. So that's a half double, and then we have a single. Oops. There we go. Okay, it'll be a bunch of splicing, but I'm going to get off and finish. Okay, if you did it right, you should end on a half double. Oops. And I like to actually have a smaller hook around and open up that chainless double crochet and kind of pull it so it's easier to get into. Okay? There. So now for all of the other rows, this is how you join and bring the yarn up. Okay, here's our new yarn. You take what you're discontinuing, what you're ending for that round, pull it over under the hook and over the other yarn. Then you grab the new yarn and pull it through the stitch and through. Okay? Alright, now, and here I'd like to take the whole ball and bring it over the top and over out of the way. Okay? See that? It's over out of the way. Okay? Now, what is needed for this round is a double crochet done in the front loop 2 rows below. See, this is the row below, this is 2 rows below. So you're working into the same color that you are working with now. Okay? And to do that, yarn over, go down, go into that stitch, and if it seems a little messy, sometimes I can grab this one too and get it too. If it doesn't work, that's fine, but if it does, it'll look better. Pull it back in. Okay, I've pulled up a loop. Now I yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And it does tend to pull that up, but that's okay. There. Now because I got that other little bit there, it pulled it together and it looks better. Okay. Then, for all of the other stitches, you're only doing that over the single crochets. For all of the other stitches, you do a single crochet in the back loop only. So you should have 5 single crochets, and you can kind of visually count each time to make sure, because it's easy to get out of sync. Okay, and there's your single crochet. Here's down below, and you do your double crochet. Pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then 5 single crochets. And I'm going to pause because that's what you do all the way around. Okay, we've gone all the way around. cute little doll hat here. Okay, done all the way around, and this is how you join. And again, because I didn't chain or anything, and this is the top of that stitch right there. I like to take the smaller hook and kind of pull that up. Okay? I find that chaining when you're doing rounds like this makes a bulky join, and I don't like that look. So this is what I've come up with to avoid it. Okay. Alright, so I'm through there. Still have my 4.5 millimeter hook. Okay, again, under the hook and over the other yarn. Pull through the stitch and pull through the one you're joining. Okay? And then this becomes the top of that stitch. Okay. Now what is needed, because, oh, and then here again, we want this, whoops, put that back in there. We want this ball of yarn over out of the way and not tangled up with the other hat. Oh, we did it, didn't we? There we go. All right. Got two blues there. Okay. So it's over here out of the way. And this one. All right. Now this round is unique because you are in the middle of, I call these waves, okay? And what you need is to bring this other color up to the height that you're going to need it. Okay, this for the sides, this is round 1. We just done round 2. This is round 3, but you're going to need this color up here for round 4 unless you want to go to the hassle of cutting yarn and doing weaving in on every round, which is ridiculous because you're going to have at least, I think it's 7 or 8 more rounds. Depends really on how big you want to make your hat. So this is what I've come up with. Okay, I did one chain, then I put this back over, and I do, another chain, and then I put this back over, and I do my third chain. Okay. Now you want to pull this, tug it just a little, so that number 1, it isn't as easily seen. Number 2, it kind of pulls this back in so that it's not too messy or loopy. Okay, now you have it up here at the top. You just leave it. Okay, you're in the middle of the pattern. You're in the middle or double crochet. So you need one more double crochet, a half double crochet, and then your single, half double, three doubles, your middle double crochet on this round is going to be right over that double crochet from the last round. So if you get it out of sync, you know to go back and count and figure out what you did wrong. 3 doubles, 2, 3, and I will pause and go around to the other side. Okay, I had to check and make sure we could see. Okay, I've come back around. Now because we started with the center double crochet, our last 2 stitches, if you did this right, are a half double crochet, a double crochet, and then you're going to join to this top right here. There, got it in. Okay, again, get some more yarn out here. You bring the yarn that you're ending off over or under the hook and over the new yarn. You pull it through and then through, and that now becomes the top. Okay, this is now the ending off yarn, and we bring it over the top and over out of the way. Okay. Okay. All right. Because we're at the center of the wave, this stitch just needs to be a chainless double or chainless single crochet. So to do that, just like we did at the very beginning with the darker blue, we go back into the center of the stitch, or center of the, and then back into the center of the stitch. And it's a little bit more difficult with having that having carried the light blue up, but you can kind of get in there and fidget with it and make it look right. Okay, and then this looks a little messy, so I like to kind of give that a little tug. Okay, and make sure that blue yarn stays over here. There's a reason for that too, for pulling it all the way over. And the reason is it is very easy to get a few stitches down and you've actually crocheted over the other color. Very frustrating because you got to rip it out because you need the other color when you get around here. Okay, so to finish the chainless single crochet, there. Okay, and all of these stitches are going to be single crochet. So we've done, yeah, and now we're to our single crochet from the other round. So we do a double over it in the loop, or front loop of 2 stitch 2 rows below, and then we have 5 single, or yeah, 5 single crochets in a row. There's 4 and 5, and if somehow I have in one hat, I remember, no, maybe 2, gotten the count off, and rather than rip 72 stitches out or whatever I had, 60, 72, whatever, I just fudged it. Like there weren't enough, and so I just did 2 in 1 you know, like if I'm doing the single crochets on this round, and I just made it so that it came out rather than to rip out. Because you're not just ripping out this, you might be ripping out all the way back. Yeah. It had to be really messed up before I ripped out, because it's... So, I'm going to get off and finish the round. Okay. I'm almost at the end, but I wanted to show you what to do if you get to one and you realize that somehow you ended up with too many stitches in this row for your... Somehow there are too many. Maybe there's too few back in another, and you fix that by making 2 of them. Well, this is what I do for an invisible single crochet decrease. Say I need to end up with 5, and I'm going to have 6 if I do in each one of them. So this is my single crochet decrease. Okay, I go into this one, go into the top of that one, pull up a loop, and instead of yarning over and pulling through the loops, I just take this loop and pull it through the other 2, and it ends up looking like the other single crochets. And so I have decreased because I would go on and I would do this one. Okay, that's how to fix it. So, you know, if your count somehow gets off, because we're human. Okay, but so far, because this one only has 36, and I seem to be able to pay attention that long, it's coming out perfectly. So there's my final, and because I started at the top of this one, I should have 2 more. 1 and 2. Okay, and you can kind of give a little tug on this one to kind of pull that in. Okay, and because this is that chainless single crochet, I like to use my smaller hook to get into the top of it. Just from the back it works better. Yeah, from the back. And just bring it up there, and because when you tighten this, it pulls on this stitch also and tightens it up. But there. Okay, now we can get into it and it'll look just fine. Okay, again, you pull this over, pull your new yarn through and through. Okay, and okay, this one is going to be, basically we're back down to here, what we did on this row. It's going to be a repeat. Basically you're repeating, this is row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're repeating 1, 2, 3, and 4 over and over again until you get the length that you want. Okay? So you would do that chainless single crochet to start out, and that would be it. Okay, now this hat I told you about already, and in the other video we pretended that this is take 2. Okay, we need 5.5, yes. Because, oh, that's the other thing I wanted to point out, how versatile this hat is. But I make chemo hats. That's what this pattern is 4 is for chemo hats. And you can see for a winter hat how nice and dense that fabric is. Still has some give, but it's nice and dense. Okay, but even in a summer hat that I've gone up to a 5.5, so it's much more light and airy. This is cotton yarn. It's a 4-weight. I love this cotton, and I don't know if you can see it. It's a 4. Okay, and this is nice and light and airy, and because these stitches are touching each other, or attached to each other, linked, it still doesn't have big holes and gaps where they can, the scalp shows through. Okay? But it's still nice and light, airy, stretchy, makes a nice, cooler hat. Okay. So this is to show you the okay, when you get to the end, you're going to do this is what's in the pattern. Rows of single crochet or half double crochet, and my variation on a front post, back post. Okay? So I have gone all the way around. Okay? I chained 2, which is not going to count. Okay? Then I'm going to join to the top of the actual half double crochet. Okay, and I'm going to start my for all of the other rounds, instead of chaining 2, I'm chaining 1, because you do not need 2 because you're coming down here. Okay, normal post stitch, front post, is done around the post like that, and this is a half double crochet. And to me, it ends up looking bulky. If you like that, go for it. I want to show you how to do my variation on it. Okay? Instead of coming down here and going around the post, I like to kind of pull the stitchy part and go around just this part of the post and do my half double crochet. And then I do the back post one. Instead of going down here, going around the whole post, I go around right under the top of the stitches and just grab this top part of the post. And it makes a leaner, neater half double crochet post stitch. See? And you would just come all the way around and join, and if you miscounted or something, or somehow got it off, you need to make it so that the next row, you've got front post, back post, front post, back post, so that they all line up. It would be a little bit different pattern if you did it differently. Okay, that is what I do for the summer hats. I like that. It's light and airy. When I make this for a winter hat, this is what I do. You can chain 1 or 2, whichever is best for you. I think 1 is plenty. Okay, it's called third loop half double crochet. Let's go into the See these are the 2 top loops. Half double crochet has this nice prominent 3rd loop. It's easy to find. And you go all the way around, catching that half or that 3rd loop. Just kind of turn the stitch, and it's easy to find. And it makes normally I wouldn't be doing this stitch with a 5.5. I would normally be doing it with the 4.5 that I did the rest of the hat with. So it makes a nice, dense, warm for being down over your ears. And it's really pretty if you want to turn it up. Like it's not that cold today and you want to turn it up, you can do that, and it looks really nice. Here, look. Show you what it looks like when you do another row of it, because it really gives a really nice effect. Here. Different color, but it won't matter. Here, come on. There. So. Oh, I gotta use the same size hook. Yeah. There we go. And you could change colors if you wanted to. And just have ends to weave in. But with these 2 colors and the way I do it, you end up with 4 ends to weave in. Let's see. And usually for a winter hat I do 3 or possibly 4 for the band, depending on how long I made the sides. So I'm in the process of revising the pattern, and at the end I will add on some math calculations for how suggestions for how you can get to numbers, how you would do it so that you would end up with the right amount. I mean, this worked pretty well, really, doing 10 and 20 and 40 and then doing every other one. That was not as difficult for me anyway as trying to do 5 singles and then 2 and 5 and then 2 and stuff like you would normally for the top of a hat. So, and we've gotten to 60 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. So that's not bad, and I like the look of that. So, and that's how to do the Playing with Yarn Beanie.